What's happening, everybody, and thanks for catching up with the Crash Bang Boom podcast on what is episode 260. Today's guest is Deaf Club drummer Scott Osment. Scott and I get into a bizarre connection via Austin, Texas, his time in California and the origins of Deaf Club, moving back to Austin and continuing to write with the band, as well as some upcoming shows and a whole lot more. Hope y'all dig it indeed. Today's episode is sponsored by my man Carson Gant, aka OneUpLoops.com. Carson and his team spent an incredible amount of time recording over 400,000 shaker, tambourine, and hi-hat loops at every possible tempo in multiple feels with incredible mics and outboard gear for you to pick and choose. It's organized for you to find exactly what you need with just a few clicks, and everything feels and sounds incredible. You can sign up for free to check it out and gain full access to all 400,000 loops starting at just $5.99 a month. No download limits, whatever you want, whenever you want. New loops, one-shots, and drum breaks are being added weekly, so check it out, and that's oneuploops.com. Crash Bang Boom Podcast can be found everywhere podcasts are available. Feel free to check out any of the previous 260-plus episodes. Give me a like, a subscription, and or a positive review if you don't mind. The support is appreciated. So without further ado, here we go. Scott Osment, Deaf Club, shoplifting from jail is one of them. Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
Yeah! All right, I'm here with Scott Osment of Deaf Club. Scott, thanks for catching up with me, man, and congrats on this new record, Productive Disruption. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I assumed because of the association with Justin Pearson and all of those kind of like Southern California bands, I assumed that you were in California, but it turns out you're in Texas. And from talking a little bit earlier, you and I have some mutual friends that I know via Louisiana, and that you played in a band with in Austin. So per usual, small world. I was not expecting it to be that small, but then again, sometimes that's just the way it goes. I can't even be that surprised by it anymore.
It's true.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, dude, congrats on the record. I was trying to do the timeline, and I wasn't really sure when Deaf Club started. I know that y'all just put out your new record, 14 songs, clocking in under 23 minutes, a bunch of fucking slamming, banging, spazzy fucking stuff that I would expect. And man, I'm assuming y'all were able to start sometime and play some shows before all of these COVID restrictions and all the shutdowns and everything. But sort of what's the timeline of the band starting up and then hopefully playing some shows, and then we can talk about the new record?
Let's see. I did actually move to San Diego in 2018. Like in the fall, like September or so. And then when I moved out there, the only dude I knew was Justin. And I just kept on hitting him up like, oh, do you know anyone that plays guitar? Like, I don't know. I only know you. I don't know anybody. Yeah. And he was like, oh, yeah, my friend Brian is trying to start a project with me. But he's up in LA. And I was like, okay, well, it's something. But it was like, and then it was like, what's Brian's other bands? Oh, ACXDC. And I was like, oh, shit.
That's cool.
I think the first time we got together, I guess it was a tryout. I was not the original drummer that they tried out.
Okay.
Which is, I didn't even know that until like a year later.
That's funny.
But it was like November 2018.
Nice.
And we got together and we wrote the first song on the first EP. And then was like, oh, this is good. This will work.
Nice.
And then I think then months and months went by. We just wrote songs. We recorded that EP. And then we announced ourselves as a band like mid or early July 2019.
Gotcha.
And we only got to play, I think, 6 shows before the pandemic.
Wow. How were those shows?
They were, it's like the early version of the band. So we just like had all these ideas. We just played these shows with the same, handful of songs that we had at the time. It was like all the songs that we had, 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
And it was also with our old guitar player. He was like part of the first 6 shows. And then we replaced him with Tommy, who has since played everything else and is on the record.
Gotcha.
My relationship with this band is like, I'm the youngest and I'm kind of a fan of everybody's bands.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, holy shit. So like that first show we played at the Bootleg Theater in LA was like, oh shit, I'm in a band with Justin, with Brian,
Yeah.
with Jason. I was like, oh my God, like we're gonna play a show, and the show was sold out, and it was like we were opening a record release show for Tommy's old band, and it was like, whoa, this is like
It's real.
crazy. Yeah.
At which point did you move back to Austin then?
February 2020, I moved to LA because my now ex, she got this like really good job, and I was like, oh, I'll just move to LA and it'll be like easier to do Def Club, and I could be like a drummer guy in LA, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just figure it out. And then the pandemic, and then I don't know. And then I was like working downtown, and then the protests and stuff, and the military came in, and my job was like not the best at handling it.
I mean, you didn't want to die on your way to a job that you didn't love at the time, is what you're saying?
Yeah. And then I got COVID.
Oh no.
I got it. The first version, pre-vax. I call it COVID V1.
Yeah,
and,
for real.
And I had it. I had it. I was 28, and so I was like, oh, I'm young, I shouldn't get it, but I did, and I was bad for like 10 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I tested positive for 2 months.
Whoa.
And we didn't know much about COVID at the time, so I kind of like I wasn't able to work or hang out or casually do anything.
Right.
I was just like, so I lost my mind. Then the fires happened.
Right.
I was fucking orange, and I was just like, I gotta move.
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, this is too much. So I'm from Austin, Texas, but I did move in with my parents for a little bit, and they live in Arkansas for some reason.
Yeah.
So I was just crashing with them for a little bit, and then I moved back to Austin June of last year because Def Club had all this material kind of already set up.
Yeah.
With videos and photo shoots and shit. And I was like, oh, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
We'll put this shit out later. I already did all this work. I'll see you later. So that's why I'm here. Because I'm from here, and I was just like, I want to be with my friends and do this stuff. And it's been cool. So like John Severson lives out here too. So So we've been hanging out.
Nice. I love John. He's great.
Yeah. I was like, this is awesome.
Nice. Yeah, dude, you mentioned the fires. Obviously, I don't have a sense of how bad they were there, but here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where we just moved a year ago, I woke up one morning and the sky was orange, and I could smell burning wood. And I was like, well, now wait a second, what's on fire? I had to go back in and like start, get on the internet and be like, what is going on right now? It was scary, dude. Walking out, orange sky. It's so fucking post-apocalyptic, and you smell charred things. It's fucking scary, dude.
It was weird when you were like, what is that? Like a fly? And you're like, no, it's soot.
It's
like fucking soot. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh God.
Yeah. It's like, what is this? And then I never experienced that. I'm from here. That doesn't happen here. So like, I was like, what?
That is nuts, man. Well, I mean, at a certain point, it comes time to both record and put out ultimately what was productive was productive disruption. What was it like recording the drums, and where did y'all do that? How did that all go down?
We went with our friend Alex Estrada. He has a studio. Well, the drums were recorded basically all in a day.
Nice.
And we just did it at his studio, Pale Moon Audio, and he did the first EP. And and he's doing the next EP that's coming out in a bit. Nice. Yeah, it was great. I had a great time. I mean, the way I like to record is I practice so much beforehand, and because no band I've ever been in has had a budget, and that's still the case.
I know.
Right.
I get it.
So I always go like, we never have a budget. We'll only ever have a studio for like a day or something. So I'll be like, do all your parts in like one take or two tops. And just knock it out. So
absolutely.
That's what I did.
I don't know what your history was playing previous to Def Club, but did you have to restructure your approach to practicing to be able to sort of sustain the physicality of that kind of grinding blast beat style,
Well, kind of no. I kind of see. It's funny because so like you mentioned, our friend Ryan.
Yeah.
or we know some people, Ryan, from my old band Weak Flesh.
Yep, Ryan Pankratz. What's up, dude?
I know he's the best. That band was, in my mind, it was like just maybe just prepping me for doing Def Club, because it was just me and Ryan kind of wrote everything, and it just real fast. And he was always like pushing me because he had better gear than I did. He played with better drummers than me. He was always like, man, you should do this. Cause I don't know if you know this, his old band, Skycrawler, for a minute, Gabe Serbian was living in town, and Gabe filled in for Skycrawler. And so I was like, what? So
I remember that phase. I thought it was actually in Weak Flesh, but I guess maybe it was in Skycrawler. He might have been in another band as well.
Gabe Serbian, he was in Wet Lungs.
Wet Lungs, that's what it was. I would see video of him just fucking jackhammering grindy blast beats like only he can play. I was like, God, that fucking guy's down there doing this in Austin. That's killer. But
I know. Yeah. I was like, when I found out he moved to town, it was kind of like we were just like, I was like, oh shit, what's his band? I'll be there.
Totally.
And I try to catch Wet Lungs as much as I could.
That's awesome.
So yeah, again, my relationship to like the scene was like as a fan.
Right.
And then I'm just kind of like doing it, I guess. But Ryan would be like, well, Gabe would do it this way. And about a song or something. I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna be better than that. Like, like he was always like, you should get bigger drums, you should play faster. And I was like, yeah, you should. Wow. So those Weak Flesh records, we put out 2 of them, I think like 20 songs or so. And it was like, yeah, it was just, so moving into Weak Flesh, or Def Club rather, I was like, oh, it's just more of the same. So Def Club's kind of just me and Brian kind of do everything. But he just has a different way about him, but it's still heavy. He still wants to play weird. And I kind of always been doing this.
That's wild.
When I was like 20, I noticed in like the punk scene here, nobody was doing blast beats.
It's hard to do. That's the whole thing. At a certain point, it's something that I talk about is like, at a certain BPM, it almost becomes physically impossible to play it with too much bombast or volume. You have to use such fine sort of small muscle groups. But there is kind of a spot in there where people like Gabe and, I guess yourself can play this stuff, and it comes off as extra kind of abrasive and wild when you can play it with that sort of wild volume. It's kind of a different thing. It's a volume thing.
It's funny. And I was watching, I think it was for Roadrunner United. They did that like comp or some comp with different Roadrunner artists. But it was the drummer of Suffocation.
Oh, okay.
And watching him blast, he's like jacked. He's like jacked, and he's just like blasting 10 times louder than anybody. I watch that still today for like inspiration of like, wow. Maybe I should start doing push-ups today, or maybe I should like try a little bit harder, because this guy's jacked and he's blasting so loud.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And nobody does that. I was like, that guy is different, and I want to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned Justin Pearson, obviously. And I mean, he's had so many wild bands, including yours, and, not to mention Head Wound City, Retox, Dead Cross, and of course the Locust. And we mentioned Gabe Serbian earlier. And I don't know if you were able to see the Locust back in the day, but I walked in Austin, incredibly enough. A band that I was in at the time played South by Southwest, and it was me and one of my friends who, I won't say he's a degenerate, although when we got together, degenerate behavior did ensue. So maybe just the collective was degenerate, but on our own, maybe not necessarily.
I have friends like that.
Yeah. Well, I think he and I kind of had that going. So he's looking at the paper, because I believe this was maybe like Plague Soundscapes. So I think New Directions hadn't come out yet. So it was like, maybe South by Southwest, like 03, maybe 04 at the absolute latest, I would say. And he looked in the paper and he said, look how these fucking guys are dressed. We should make it a point to go see them. And we totally did. And we watched it from the sidewalk. And as you know, at least at the time, you couldn't drink on the streets, but we both were popping beers out of our book bags. And then at some point, we were like, we might as well watch this. We're already getting our minds blown. Like, we should get as high as possible. So then that was happening. Kids around us were like, y'all can't do that here. Like, what the fuck is going on? And we were just
very illegal.
It was very much in between, just like taking sips of beers and then looking at each other and going, what the fuck did we just see? It was so shocking, knowing nothing about that band. And so just being bombarded by that. And of course, because they were in their uniforms, I assumed, and as did he, because we were a fan of the Japanese band Ruins, that they were Japanese. We were both convinced that they were Japanese. And for quite some time, I didn't have a smartphone. I had a computer. I didn't even have the internet at the time. At some point, he figured out, he's like, nah, man, these guys are from like Southern California. It's like, come on, man. But to this day, we still like to think that they're Japanese. And at some point, I saw Justin Pearson at St. Vitus in Brooklyn. I was saying, hey, man, out of curiosity, did y'all get it all the time that people thought y'all were Japanese? And he just matter-of-factly goes, no. And that was that. I was like, is that because so many people said it or because no one ever said it? I still don't know. But
I bet it's because nobody said it. I bet that's just
that was just us. What the fuck? We were convinced they were Japanese. Oh my God.
I just turned 30 a month ago. So I'm like, 3, I'm like 12 or 11.
Wow.
So I don't even know if I was listening to music.
Yeah.
I was like a kid. The only band tattoo that I have that's not my own band is the Plague Soundscapes, like the weird green thing, and then
yes,
they're on my legs, on my thighs.
That's wild.
And it's probably one of the only records I have like 2 of. I don't really do like the multiple copies, but I have like 2 variants.
Nice.
And the only time I only got to see him, I think I've only seen him twice.
Crazy.
Like in 2013 and 2019.
Wow. Oh, wow. Like reunion shows.
I was like too young.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive. Like I couldn't.
So after Hurricane Katrina, I ended up in New York, and the Locust came back through, and I saw him on the last record that they put out. I guess that was New Directions or whatever at that time, so this was like 05, 06, I guess. Mm-hmm. That too was a wild show, not nearly as wild, having not known what I was walking into. At least at this point, I had listened to some of the music. I kind of knew what to expect. I think I had even heard like the new record they put out, but it was a weird fucking club in Manhattan, and there was a cage with some people hanging out in it on one side of the stage, and then they were just blasting you with audible shrapnel the entire time. It was always
was Cake Shop.
No, it was not the Cake Shop. It wasn't in the Lower East Side. It was like Midtown. Midtown at this place that isn't even there anymore. I forget the name of it. There was a couple different iterations. I saw a band there later on. If it's anything, it's just a nightclub now, if that. It may not even be that, But yeah, the 2 times that I saw them, both times, they were like as memorable as it gets for just being fucking absolutely bizarre. And again, just the rate of what you're subjected to coupled with your surroundings makes for a memorable experience, apparently.
It's so they're such a like crucial band.
Yeah.
So crucial. Yeah. There was like that whole scene from what I could gather on the internet was like Locust, Daughters, Melt Banana, Lightning Bolt, Airborne Radar, Chinese Stars, or rather all of their bands. And I was like, oh, this is it. I need to do this.
So absolutely, man.
I feel like every band I've ever been in has been like a version of Def Club or a version of me ripping off all these bands.
Yeah.
Or be like, is this too Daughtersy? Or is this too Locusty? Like we shouldn't too much like that.
Right. That's
every band I've been in has been like a variation of Def Club, basically.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other time that I could remember being that shocked, not knowing who the band was and walking into it, and I've spoken about it before, the Dillinger Escape Plan opened for Mr. Bungle on the California tour, and that was like 2000, I think. Yeah. So once again, I had no idea. I had not heard so much as a note of that band, nor did anyone I know, were they even aware of sort of the physicality that band played with live. Right. So again, it was just like, it was so jarring, dude. I mean,
you saw Chris Penny play drums.
I saw Dillinger with Chris Penny, I think 5 or 6 times.
That guy.
Yeah. I saw Dillinger 15 times. So so I saw him with all the drummers, Gil Sharon for the Ironworks era as well. Right. Yeah. It was insane. So needless to say, when I think about the most jarring shows that I've witnessed of again knowing nothing about going to see a band, 100% it was the first time I saw the Locust and the first time I saw Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah.
That shit was shocking.
Yeah. They're the most insane bands. I feel like just because of my age, I saw them later when they were chiller.
I mean, Dillinger managed to keep it up the whole time for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I still to this day don't know how they did it. I mean, 20 years was a lot. I mean, the fact that Ben did that as the constant member throughout that for 20 years. And, you know, he's still out there playing with suicidal tendencies, jumping off of amps and shit. I'm like, how are your knees? Like, my ankles hurt watching you do this.
I heard he wears knee pads.
I believe he did towards the tail end. I think because he would slide on his knees and do all
he would
kinds
do
of
the slide.
Yeah.
And you're, oh my god.
Yeah.
They played at the Mohawk here in Austin. It was like I think their last tour, and I was there. And there's a tent like over the stage, and everyone was just climbing the tent.
Yeah.
The whole crowd got on the stage. And the tent. Just shit was like so nuts. I was just like, this is the best last show you could ever have.
Right. You mentioned sort of who was influencing you when you were playing drums coming up and everything. I mean, how old were you when you got your first kit? And did you pretty much just delve into playing heavier, faster music pretty much straight out the gate?
But I started playing when I was like 14.
Okay.
I was just like into metalcore. So
yeah.
Killswitch Engage and like Slipknot.
Sure.
And just like metal.
Yeah.
And I got a double kick. I remember getting a double kick really early because Killswitch Engage had one. Because it was like, oh, it's a single bass drum, but he's playing double kick. How's that a thing? And I looked it up. I remember playing double kick really early, but not knowing how to do it. But I always worked at it. And then I saw a video of Lightning Bolt when I was like 16 or 17.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I should play single kick. And I was like, then I started getting into like Zach Hill stuff.
Of course.
Like, oh. But I learned about all these bands at the same time. Via MySpace top 8s.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, oh, like, I don't need a double kick. Like, Brian Chippendale doesn't use one. Zach Hill doesn't use one.
Yeah.
But I was like, but Gabe Serbian does, but I'm going to do single kick.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few years, and I always just wanted to hit as hard as I could. I couldn't though. Like I didn't have it yet, but I was like, yeah, I kind of always worked on it. Always try to be always. I mean, I always worked on it. It was easy when I was younger because I had nothing going on.
Yeah.
I was obviously the weird kid because I listened to weird shit.
Yeah.
And I looked weird, and I played weird music. Like,
yeah.
They were like, "Oh, you're in a band? That's cool. Do you do covers?" You're like, "No."
Right.
I was like in a synth punk band when I was 16.
Yeah.
Playing at like pizza stores. Like that's all I was doing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And so yeah, I had tons of time to like learn how to hit harder and like practice and try to be like a crazy person. And then when I was like 20, I was like, I'm gonna really lean into playing as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And as hard as I can.
Right. And you were able to find obviously guys around the Austin area to be able to do that with. I mean, was Weak Flesh the first one, or were you playing? Okay,
I was in like there's probably two bands before that I don't mind telling people. Everything from like 15 to 20.
Yeah,
was bad music.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everything I made was like garbage.
Oh god, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking for myself, not you. I haven't heard it,
totally,
but I understand what you're saying here.
But I like 100 songs. They're all garbage. But when I was 20, I was like, I found a couple dudes, and we wanted to be like Orchid or something, or Love Lost But Not Forgotten, which I don't even know that band at the time, but the guitarist did, and he was like, I want to do this mixed with Lightning Bolt, and I was like, okay, we can so that kind of screamo stuff, but like maybe a little more brutal. So that band was called Sheepskins, and then the guitarist quit the band, and then me and the bassist, but we had a show booked, so me and the bassist just started a new band to fill in that spot because I was booking the show, and then but he just switched over to guitar, and then that band was called Femoral, and that was like the ultimate Locust ripoff band. That was like
nice.
Us like trying our best.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great irony about it, especially in going back to that before you can develop any kind of style or kind of any sort of independence on the instrument. You inevitably end up sounding so derivative that's just part of it early. That's all you have. You just have these direct influences, and you're learning how to play. So naturally, that's who you end up sounding like. but that's the thing. And then you listen back to it and you're like, ah, shit. Like
Yeah.
my running joke, I was like okay, so we were listening to Primus and Helmet. I know who we were listening to. It's right there.
Yep. 100%.
Every step of the fucking way.
Yeah. It's well, even that screamo band, we really wanted to be so screamo and like sad and like dramatic. But like because of the guys that we are, or were, it just we're gonna be weirdo, like kind of brutal, because we all like the Locust and shit.
Right.
Like, so it was like we kind of sound like a weird Locust screamo band. And then once the guitar player left, we were like, oh, we can be just full force Locust ripoff. This is cool. And then that was the band. I played a show with that band. We got asked to play with fucking Invincible. Right. I know it's weird to talk. Yeah. But we got asked to open that show. And then the band closing that show was Soars, which was Mike, the singer of Wet Lungs' new band.
Okay.
And then I guess Pankrats and Mike wanted to start like a power violence band, and they couldn't find a drummer. And then Mike's wife Lori was like, "Oh, why don't you get the kid that opened that fucking Invincible show?"
Nice.
So he hit me up on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah,
sounds cool."
That's wild, man. It's interesting because, again, it sounds like you've been at this for a while as opposed to being like, you know, in your 40s and being like, yeah, I'm going to be in a power violence band now. So, like, do you find that as you've gotten older and you're still relatively young? I didn't really I was pretty bad about stretching, warming up, or any of that up until my early 30s. So prior to you playing these shows, which, again, are pretty physical, do you find that you need to warm up or do any hand technique stuff or anything? Or can you just kind of sit down and go?
For the most part, I kind of just sit down and go. But
no shit.
I do on my day-to-day do stretches, and I drink a lot of water, especially before a show day.
Yeah.
For like a Def Club show, I try to like sleep a lot and like drink a lot of water and like stretch and try to eat okay.
Right.
I don't always get to, but yeah, I mean, I kind of stretched a lot because when I was younger, I had a herniated disc, like my spine displaced a little bit.
Oh.
So, yeah, when I was 21. That's a little different. So if I don't if I don't stretch and keep up on that kind of every day, I can't walk for like a week.
Really? Jesus, dude.
Yeah. So if I like don't drink enough water for 2 weeks, like I can't function.
Right.
So kind of in my day-to-day, I try to keep myself together, like eat salad and
drink water
and
sleep.
Stretch.
Yeah.
Do what I can. So I kind of already am trying to keep generally healthy. But for the most part, for shows, I don't do anything. I just kind of just do it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. With playing the style of music that you've played in the last couple of bands, especially, and it sounds like even a little bit prior to that, you know, are there any particular bands that you've been digging, new or old, that are a completely different style of music than that? Or even furthermore, do you find that you listen to music as intense as the music that you play, necessarily outside of playing it?
I just listen to like hip hop.
Nice.
And like really chill hip hop, like almost like chill hop sort of stuff. That's about it. I mean, I just listen to like hip hop, and there's this band called Mother Falcon that was cool like 10 years ago. It's like a 17-piece orchestra.
Whoa.
But it's like an indie rock band. I don't know. It's so cool. But
nice.
But what's funny is that I think what comes out is this kind of music. It comes out so naturally to do this. Like, I always have ideas for like Def Club songs. It's like kind of where my brain's at.
That's cool.
Like, oh, we should do this in 7 or like do some like, we've got a blast here. Like we're already starting to work on like the next LP right now, and it's like, oh, okay, like it's fun to put these like puzzle pieces together. But for like listening, I just chill.
Yeah. You're a chill guy.
Maybe my friends' bands.
Right.
But
exactly.
like,
interesting.
I'm
man.
just chilling, listening to hip hop.
With the process of getting drum tracks out, do you have a little home studio set up to where you can demo some tracks and send them out, and then y'all kind of get stuff together between Austin and California, and then?
Well, you know, it's funny. So I guess since August last year, I've been going out to California almost every month or every other month.
Nice.
So we'll just there's usually 4 hours to kill, and we'll just go like, oh, it's just like let's just goof around for a little bit and do like the iPhone demo.
Right.
And then kind of listen to it. This past time, 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to play a record release shows that got canceled.
I think I saw that. Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah. Super cool. But I was already out there. And so I was like, me and Brian kind of do a lot of the early demoing. And we just demoed out like 4 or 6 things
Cool.
this past time. Yeah. We just kind of do it that way. I do have like a home setup.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird with this kind of music. You need to be in the room.
Yeah.
Because we did try that a few times. Like he sent a riff and I was like, here's my drum part. And it just was like, then we forgot about it.
Right. That was the extent.
So some of these like newer riffs that we just started working on 2 weeks ago and like recorded and sound decent. We had these riffs like a year ago and we tried that and it was just like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Let's just wait until we're in the same place. Because the music is so, it's weird. It's weird music.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy music played by crazy people for crazy people.
Yeah. Totally.
It's fucking fun, man. It's got that electric vibe when you throw it on. I mean, you're not ignoring it. It's certainly not chill hop in that instance. You're not going to throw it on at a cocktail party in the background.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It's fun. Because of that, it's fun.
You sit here and you like deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here we are.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh my God. Are there any plans? I know everything can be so up in the air, but I would at least hope that we're towards the tail end of dealing with some of this COVID shit that we've been dealing with. But are there any plans to pick up on some shows or especially, I mean, just doing the record release, I guess that got canceled. Are there some plans sometime soon to maybe pick up some stuff?
Well, right now, I think we're in the middle of like rescheduling.
Yeah.
Those record release shows.
Mm.
Now that, I mean, I believe most everybody in Def Club's boosted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on top of it. We try.
Nice.
And I believe those are in the middle of getting rescheduled. And then we just, maybe 3 days ago, announced we're opening for Final Conflict and Negative Approach.
Oh, cool.
At midnight hour in the Valley.
Cool.
And then we're playing Oblivion Access here in Austin, which I'm so psyched about because those are like friends that are setting that up.
Cool.
And with Mets and Spotlights, and then we're doing some other tours that I can't announce yet.
Sure. Awesome. At least they're in the works. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's in the works. It's all happening. This year's gonna be nuts.
Awesome. Right on. Well, Scott, man, it was fun talking to you, dude. Thanks for catching up. Always interesting to, again, find out these bizarre connections with people in other states via one person that I've known for quite some time that used to play in a band with and everything. It's such a small world. It's always a trip, man.
So crazy that Ryan.
I know.
That's so awesome.
Fucking hey, man. Well, dude, good luck in this year. Congrats again on the record. Sounds like you've got more stuff in the works, both recorded and in playing shows. So I'll look forward to checking it all out when it's out and about.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. And, of course, thanks to Scott for rapping. Always cool to geek out on Locust shows and getting my mind blown and our minds blown by preposterously electric and just generally shocking bands. It's the best kind of electrocution if you're going to get it. We'll catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.